Hi everybody, this is Ruvain Spolter, and I'm coming to you from Yad Binyamin in Israel over the magic of the internet. I wanted to share with you just some thoughts, an idea that you can take with you as you share in concern and solidarity together with us here in Israel. I'm in a place called Yad Binyamin. Yad Binyamin is really in the southern region, near Gedera and Kiryat Malachi. We're actually 15 minutes from Ashdod, that's getting tremendous barrages, less than 40 kilometers from Gaza. So we get our share of sirens in the middle of the night. You can hear, actually the government is so good, so the yeshuvim next to us last night had sirens and we didn't have a siren. And you just kind of learn to sleep with it or get up in the middle of the night and go to the safe room. Ironically, it's sad that it's a part of life that you become accustomed to in a way, that someone's shooting rockets at you. More concerning to many Israelis, to myself, is the strife that's going on inside of Israel and the concern about the connection of Israel to many of its Arab citizens, not all of them, but many. And that's something that is a tremendous concern to so many of us here in Israel. What can you do? So of course, obviously, we want your prayers. You know, the Torah tells us, the Midrash tells us that when Yaakov approached Esav and was fearful of him, said he prepared in three ways. He prepared for battle, he split the camp, he prayed to God, and he sent gifts. He had diplomacy. And I think that those three ways I'd like to share with you are necessary. Of course, we appreciate your tefillot, but we also appreciate your messages of concern. When you reach out, all of you know people in Israel, and I've gotten emails from people saying, I'm thinking about you, how are you doing? It's very meaningful. It really is meaningful and important. And so one thing you can do after this event is not to send me an email, I'd love to hear from you, or a Facebook message or WhatsApp, but send three people that you know, say, we're thinking of you. That's number one. That's, I would say, the diplomacy. The tefillah that you're doing right now is meaningful for all of Klal Yisrael, and especially for us here in Israel. But then there's a third thing, preparing for battle. That's not your job. That's not your responsibility. But on the other hand, I think there's something to be said about that. Preparing for battle means an assessment or a standing, an identity that's connected to the idea of being Jewish, a certain pride, a willingness to stand up for yourself. And this is something that I think is critically important. Nowadays, when I see on social media very often, I see when people talk about Israel, there's sort of an equivocation. Yes, I support Israel, but yes, I don't know. The idea of being a proud Zionist, a proud supporter of Israel, unequivocally. And I think this is something that's so critical in today's day and age. Just a short idea from this week's parasha. We'll read tomorrow that the Jewish people are divided into a camp, and each tribe had a degel, had a flag. And so Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, Rav Kook was asked, is it appropriate to have a Jewish flag, like a flag of Israel? Isn't that what's called chukot hagoyim, something that the other nations of the world do? And he said, chas v'shalom, having a flag, having a symbol that represents who it is and what you are, is a sign of national pride. And this is something that I think the Jewish community, you guys are under bombardment emotionally and socially and culturally. The idea that dual loyalty and what have you, and having pride. And I think that's something that is critically important and needs to be articulated. I'm a proud Jew. I believe that the land of Israel is the eternal homeland of the Jewish people. I believe that Jerusalem is the undivided capital of the state of Israel. And you need to not only say that, you need to fly your flags to show your identity where you are, because that has ripple effects. You need to be able to say that to your elected officials. No ifs, no ands, no buts. There are problems, that's fine. We all know Israel is not perfect. But at the same time, a sense of connection and identity, to wave the flag of Israel in Canada or wherever you are, it's important for you and it's important for us. So that prayer, that connection with the people that you know, but also conveying that sense of pride in being a Jew who's fully supportive of Israel, those are three critical areas where I think each and every one of us, every Jew around the world, can have a great sense of connection and effect on the situation here in Israel. Be'ezrat Hashem, we pray for peace, we pray for tranquility, we pray for security, and we pray that one day soon we'll all be reunited together. Have a Shabbat Shalom. Be well.